Okay, I think we're rolling. Thank you for tuning in and watching a live stream when things are opening up now and you can go out. But, tonight's really hot, so it's probably better to stay inside and just, drink some cold drinks and watch a good live stream. Bob Dylan tonight. My name's Danny Chicago, and I'm going to be playing a tribute to Bob Dylan. I think there was another Bob Dylan. Well, there was another Bob Dylan tribute a few weeks ago that was really good. It was a band, and they just nailed it, which made me a little intimidated about doing this one. But I'm just solo, just me and my guitar and my harmonica. So I'm going to try to play some songs of Bob Dylan, and I'm going to try to do it sort of chronologically, starting with the early stuff. And his library is so big, there's no way you can cover it all, but to try to get through some of the phases he went through as a musician, and each time astonishing everybody with his writing ability. So without further ado, I'm going to play the first song, which a lot of people ask me, what's your favorite Bob Dylan song? Well, I've had a lot of favorites over the years, but the one that was my favorite of all favorites was when I was a teenager and going through a rebellious stage, as we all do. And this song called The Times Are-a-Changin' just sort of spoke to my rebellion and made me a complete Holden Caulfield after that. So this one's called Times Are-a-Changin', Bob Dylan. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accepted that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, well then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the times that they are a-changin'. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are a-changin'. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly fading, so please get out of the new one if you can lend your hand. For the times, they are a-changin'. Come senators and congressmen, please heed the call. Won't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging, and it'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times, they are a-changin'. The line it is crossed, the curse it is cast. The slow one down will later be fast, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly changing, And the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changin'. For the times that they are a-changin'. Dankeschön. This is where I would hear applause, but I hear the sound of a fan, thankfully, which is blowing some cool air in here. I want to thank Daniel, whose name I cannot pronounce, who is the person behind the audio, doing a great job during lockdown with musicians that gave them an opportunity to play, even during lockdown. And now lockdown's over, and he's still doing a great job. He's got all kinds of cool cameras set up and big giant boards and stuff in there, so it's kind of cool to be in here, but it's lonely. There's nobody here. So I will pretend you're clapping. So anyway, continuing with his early stuff, this is probably his most well-known song. It's called Blowin' in the Wind, which has been sung around many a campfire. It's taught to kids, and it's just become a standard classic song that everybody seems to know because it has a kind of a universal theme in terms of the elusiveness of peace and how we'll never truly find it because no matter where we go and whatever we grasp, nothing seems to work. It just seems to be part of our existence. But it is one of his anti-war songs, his protest songs as they called them, which he didn't like that word, by the way. But anyway, it's called Blowin' in the Wind, and I'm going to play it a little bit different, but I think you'll recognize it. I have to change harmonicas in between songs. And I'm always afraid I'm going to get the wrong one. Okay. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. You Dylan fans heard that mistake, right? How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times can a man look up before he can see the sky? How many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? And how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? Well, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Thank you, audience out there. Thank you out there in Streamland, listening to my concert on a beautiful summer evening. Thank you very much. You can look at the screen. I think there's some information there about sending me checks for $10,000 if you have it. And my website is www.dannychicago.com, where you can see some of my other projects, like my radio show, my books, my whatever or other stuff I do. So anyway, going to continue. Bob Dylan, growing up now, he's become famous, and he's on a roll. It's in the 60s. He can do no wrong, no matter what he says. People consider him the Messiah, which he hated. But he had a very kind of a prophet kind of image. His songs had sort of a prophet kind of theme in some cases. But this is a song that just was pretty much about his love life. And it's a breakup song. It's called Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Which the word on the street is that he stole this song from a friend. Not all of it, but most of it, and made it his own, and never gave his friend any compensation that I know of. So Bob Dylan's not always such a nice guy, but he writes really good songs, let's put it that way. This is so weird talking to a bunch of cameras. I have no idea who's listening. Maybe, you know, I was thinking technically, Bob Dylan could actually be watching this right now. It is a technical possibility. Just saying. In case anybody wants to call him and tell him to watch. Well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe, if you don't know by now. And it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe, 'cause it don't matter anyhow. When your rooster crows at the break of dawn, look out your window, baby, I'll be gone. 'Cause you're the reason I'm traveling on. So don't think twice, 'cause it's alright. And it ain't no use in turning on your light, babe, the light I never knowed. And it ain't no use in turning on your light, babe, 'cause I'm on the dark side of the road. Still I wish there was something you could do or say to try and make me change my mind and stay. But we never did too much talking anyway, so don't think twice, it's alright. It ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, like you never did before. And it ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, 'cause I can't hear you anymore. And I'm thinking and wondering all the way down the road. I once loved a woman, a child I'm told. Well, I give her my heart, but she wanted my soul. So don't think twice, 'cause it's alright. And I'm walking down that long, lonesome road, gal, where I'm bound, I can't tell. Goodbye's too good a word, babe, so I'll just say fare thee well. And I ain't saying you treated me unkind. You could have done better, but I don't mind. We just kind of wasted our precious time, so don't think twice, 'cause it's alright. Thank you, all you people clapping out there in Streamland, jumping up and down on your couch, rooting for Danny Chicago. DannyChicago.com. I'm going to do a little self-promotion a little later, but continuing with Bob Dylan. Earlier I was talking about how he had sort of a prophet kind of image, and I think this song maybe sealed it. It's called Hard Rain. Hard rain's going to fall. And back in the 60s, everything on people's minds was the Cold War, you know, and if the bombs were going to drop and if we were all going to be killed by a big nuclear war. It was a real concern. So a lot of people thought this song was about a post-nuclear world because it sounds like a song about a post-nuclear world, but it's got some really strong imagery in it, and it sounds as though someone's been to the future and been back to tell how terrible it is. And it's called Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. Although Bob Dylan said himself that this was not about nuclear fears, but just fears of things in general. Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Where have you been, my darling younger one? Well, I stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains, and I walked and I crawled on 6 crooked highways, and I stepped in the middle of 7 sad forests. And I've been out in front of a dozen dead oceans. I've been 10,000 miles in the mouth of a graveyard. And it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard rain gonna fall. What did you see, my blue-eyed son? What did you see, my darling younger one? I saw a newborn baby with wild wolves all around it. I saw a highway of diamonds with nobody on it. I saw a black branch with blood that was dripping. I saw a room full of men with their hammers a-bleeding. And I saw a white ladder all covered with water. I saw 10,000 talkers whose tongues were all broken. I saw guns and sharp swords in the hands of young children. And it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, it's a hard, well, it's a hard rain gonna fall. And what did you hear, my blue-eyed son? What did you hear, my darling young one? I heard the sound of a thunder that roared out a warning. I heard the roar of a wave that could drown the whole world. I heard one person dying, I heard many people laughing. And I saw one person who died in the gutter. I heard her. Okay, I'm not Bob Dylan. And it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard rain's gonna fall. Who did you meet, my blue-eyed son? And who did you meet, my darling young one? Well, I met a young child beside a dead pony, and I wed a white man who walked a black dog. And I met one woman, her body was burning. And I met a young girl and she gave me a rainbow. And I met a young man who was wounded in love. And I met another man who was wounded in hatred. And it's a hard, it's a hard, and it's a hard, it's a hard, well, it's a hard rain gonna fall. What'll you do now, my blue-eyed son? And what'll you do now, my darling young one? Well, I'm going back out before the rain starts a-falling, and I'll walk to the middle of the deepest dark forest, where the people are many and their hands are all empty, where the pellets of poison are flooding their waters, where the home in the valley meets the damp, dirty prison, where the executioner's face is always well hidden. And I'll think it and speak it and sing it and breathe it, and reflect from the mountain so all souls can hear it. And I'll stand on the ocean until I start sinking, and I'll know my song well before I start singing. It's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard rain gonna fall. And it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard, it's a hard. A lot of words. Bobby, you write too many words. You could have had 3 verses, no problem. You would have got your point across. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking. I'm talking to an empty room here, so I'm making a fool out of myself. That's okay. It won't be the first time. Anyway, that was Hard Rain, one of his iconic songs from his 60s, and protest and, songs about society and dystopia and things like that. But he was also a man that had a personal life. If you know anything about Bob Dylan, he had a thing with Joan Baez for a while. And then he started seeing another girl. He got to New York, and he was starting to hang out with sort of the rich, cool people. And he met some people. One girl by the name of Edie Sedgwick, who he is said to have had an affair with. She was also seeing Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones at the time. And some people say this song is about Edie, and it's called I Want You. Do a quick tune-up here, if you don't mind. Got new strings. I broke the first rule of gigs. Never change strings on the day of a gig. But I'm a rebel like Dylan. Need a little bit of water. Okay, we're ready to go. This song is called I Want You. The guilty undertaker cries, the lonesome organ grinder cries, the silver saxophones say I will shoot. Oh, sorry, I turned it down to tune it. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Here we go again. The guilty undertaker cries, the lonesome organ grinder cries, the silver saxophones say I should refuse you. Cracked bells and worn-out horns blow into my face with scorn, but it's not that way. I wasn't born to lose you. Oh, the drunken politician leaps upon the street where the mothers weep and the saviors who are fast asleep, they wait for you. And I wait for them to interrupt me, drinking from my silver cup, and ask me to open up the gate for you. Because I want you, yes, I want you. Honey, I want you so bad. Honey, I want you. Now all my fathers put me down, true love they live without it. And all my daughters put me down, 'cause I don't think about it. Well, I return to the Queen of Spades and talk to my chambermaid. She knows that I'm not afraid to look at her. And she is good to me, and there's nothing that she doesn't see, and she knows where I'd rather be, but it doesn't matter, because I want you, yes, I want you, honey, I want you so bad, honey, I want you. Now your dancing child in his Chinese suit, I spoke to him and I took his flute. I wasn't very cute to him now, was I? But I did it because he lied, and because he took you for a ride, and because time is on his side, and because I want you, Yes, I want you, honey, I want you so bad. Honey, I want you. I want you. The Beatles stole that later. They had a song called I Want You So Bad, It's Driving Me Mad, It's Driving Me Mad. It's so weird talking to an empty room here. All right. So there's another one of his early songs. For those of you that love later Bob Dylan stuff, I hope I get to some of it, but I'm a big Dylan 60s kind of guy, so that's kind of what I play at most. And here's one that everybody has heard. Became famous by Bob Dylan, of course, but then a band called the Byrds recorded Mr. Tambourine Man and made it into the first sort of song that crossed over between folk and rock, and became a big hit for them. And they went on to record other Bob Dylan songs and electrifying them and stuff like that. But this is a great song, which a lot of people think is about drugs. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come following you. Though I know that evening's empire has returned into sand, vanished from my hand, left me blindly here to stand, but still not sleeping. My weariness amazes me, I'm branded on my feet. I have no one to meet, and these ancient empty streets too dead for dreaming. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come following you. Take me on a trip upon your magic swirling ship. All my senses have been stripped. My hands can't feel to grip. My code's too numb to step. Wait only for my boot heels to be wandering. And I'm ready to go anywhere. I'm ready for today. Onto my own parade. Cast your dancing spell my way. I promise to go under it. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come following you. Though you might hear laughing, swimming singing gently across the sun. It's not aimed at anyone, it's just escaping on the run. And before the sky there are no fences facing. And if you hear vacant traces of skipping reels of rhyme to your tambourine in time, I wouldn't pay it any mind. It's just a ragged clown behind, and it's a shadow that you're seeing that he's chasing. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come follow you. Then take me disappearing down the smoke rings of my mind, down the foggy ruins of time, far past the frozen leaves, the haunted, frightened trees, out to the windy beach, far from the twisted reach of crazy sorrow. Yes, to dance beneath the diamond sky with one hand waving free, silhouetted by the sea, circled by the circus signs, with all memory and hate, driven deep beneath the waves. Let me forget about today until tomorrow. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy and there is no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning I'll come follow you. Mr. Tambourine Man. I am Danny Chicago, and I am very thankful that Daniel has invited me to do a live stream. And I'm also thankful for people out there that are chilling out, sitting in front of their phones, laptops, computers, iPads, or whatever, and checking out this live stream of Bob Dylan tribute. I do lots of Bob Dylan tributes. Not a lot, but I've done a lot over the last few years. I love doing it. Bob was, my sort of anti-hero growing up. And so I'm trying to play some of his songs, starting from the early stuff and moving on up. This one is another personal song he wrote, and this one's called Just Like a Woman, who the woman I was just mentioning, Edie Sedgwick, that this song could also be about her. It's a pretty song, although some people take the words to mean something a little bit misogynist, but it's a pretty song, and I think it speaks for itself. Nobody feels any pain tonight as I stand inside the rain. Everybody knows that baby's got new clothes, but lately I've seen her ribbons and her bows have fallen from her purse. Ah, she takes just like a woman. Yes, she does, and she makes love just like a woman. Yes, she does, and then she aches just like a woman, but she breaks like a little girl. Queen Mary, she's my friend. Yes, I believe I'll go see her again. Nobody has to guess that baby can't be blessed till she sees finally that she's like all the rest, with her fog, her amphetamines, and her pearls. Oh, she takes just like a woman. Yes, she does, and she makes love just like a woman. Yes, she does, and then she aches just like a woman. But she breaks just like a little girl. Well, it was raining from the first, and I was dying of thirst, so I came in here. And your long-time curse hurts, but what's worse is this pain in here. I can't stay in here. Ain't it clear that I just don't fit? Yes, I believe it's time for us to quit. But when we meet again and are introduced as friends, please don't let on that you knew me when I was hungry and it was your world. All you take just like a woman. Yes, you do, and you make love just like a woman. Yes, you do, and then you ache just like a woman. But you break just like a little girl. Take just like a woman. Yes, you do, and you make love just like a woman. Yes, you do, and then you ache just like a woman. But you break just like a little girl. Thank you. Great song, Just Like a Woman. Talking to an empty room, but I feel your presence out there in Stream World, in the cyberverse. And talking to some robots here, and I don't know. It boggles my mind because the stuff today, everything we do, is recorded. Everything. And if humanity survives, in 100 years, they'll be looking back at these and having so much fun watching these stupid videos we've all been posting. But it gets us, relieves some people, and it helps some people, and it keeps people linked. So I think that's together. That's good. But this next song is called Girl from the North Country, another one of his early songs. He did several versions. I'm doing the version he did with Johnny Cash, which is a little more slow and country kind of feel. But I think it's interesting because it talks about somebody's going somewhere, and so someone says, look, if you see her, tell her this. Okay, so in 2 weeks when you get there, pass this message on. And now messages are almost generated just by thinking about them, and that's not far off either. So this was from a time when messages passed a lot slower than they do today. They were probably a lot more interesting than the ones we send now. All right, enough commentary. I need my G harmonica. This was my D. This is my G. Girl from the North Country. If you're traveling to the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, remember me to the one who lives there, for she once was a true love of mine. And if you go where the snowflakes fall, where the rivers freeze and the summer ends, please see for me that she's got a coat so warm to keep her from the howling winds. Please see for me that her hair's hanging long, and that it rolls and flows all down her breast. And please see for me that her hair's hanging down, for that's the way that I remember her best. And I'm wondering if she remembers me at all. Many times I've often prayed in the darkness of the night and in the brightness of the day. So if you're traveling to the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, remember me, the one who lives there, for she once was a true love of mine. Girl from the North Country, which is a little bit of an adaptation of other songs, including Scarborough Fair. If if you're going to Scarborough Fair kind of theme. But we're moving on now, going into the 70s. Bob Dylan has gone through a sort of a period where he just dropped out of the picture for a couple years, went up to Woodstock, met a girl, got married, had kids, and just kind of lived a typical life, out in the country raising kids. But fame would not leave him alone, and it came knocking on his door, so to speak. And he jumped into some country music, and this is something from the Nashville Skyline album, which I think is maybe one of his, who knows, one of his best. And it's called I'll Be Your Baby Tonight. Close your eyes, close the door. You don't have to worry anymore, because I'll be your baby tonight. Shut the light, shut the shade. Oh, you don't have to be afraid, because I'll be your baby tonight. Well, that mockingbirds are gonna sail away. We're gonna let it, and that big fat moon gonna shine like a spoon. But we're gonna let it, you won't regret it. Kick your shoes off, do not fear. I'll bring that bottle over here, because I'll be your baby tonight. Mockingbirds are gonna sail away. We're gonna let it, and that big fat moon gonna shine like a spoon. But we're gonna let it, you won't regret it. Kick your shoes off, do not fear. Oh, bring that bottle over here. Oh yeah, because I'll be your baby tonight, because I wanna be your baby tonight, because I Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The time is passing very quickly. So I'm going to be a little choosy about which songs I play. So let's see what we got here. Here's a song that a lot of people love the album with the song Tangled Up in Blue. A lot of people wonder what the song title is about. Nobody knows. Probably Dylan doesn't even know. But one theory is that he was cooped up in his somewhere listening to Joni Mitchell's album Blue, like for a whole weekend straight. And some people think maybe that is a reference to that album, the Blue album. But who knows? It's, as Bob Dylan describes it, a study in, what does he call it? Where there's no time, there's no future, there's no past, there's no present. All these things are kind of happening randomly in different parts of the universe, and who knows what it means. But it's a great song, and it's called Tangled Up in Blue. Early one morning the sun was shining, and I was laying in bed, wondering if she remembered me and if her hair was still red. Her folks said her lives together, sure was gonna be rough. She never did like Papa's homemade dress, Papa's bankbook wasn't big enough. And I was standing on the side of the road, the rain falling on my shoes. Headed out for the East Coast, Lord knows I paid some dues of getting through. Tangled up in blue. She was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. I helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. So we drove that car as far as we could, abandoning it out west. Both agreeing it was time to go, both agreeing it was best. She turned around to look at me as I was walking away. I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue. Tangled up in blue. And I had a job in the great North Woods, working as a cook for a spell. But I never did like it all that much, and one day the axe just fell. So I drifted down to New Orleans, where I was lucky just to be employed, working all the while on a fishing boat just outside Delacroix. But all the while I was alone, the past was close behind. I met a lot of women, but she never escaped my mind, and I just grew tangled up in blue. She was working in a topless place, and I stopped in for a beer. I just kept looking at the side of her face in the spotlight so clear. Later on, when the crowd thinned out and I was about to do the same, she was standing right there in back of my chair saying, Danny, don't I know your name? But all the while I was alone, I muttered something underneath my breath. She studied the lines in my face. I must admit I was a little uneasy when she sat down to tie the laces of my shoes. Tangled up in blue. She lit a burner on the stove, offered me a pipe. Thought you'd never say hello, you look like the silent type. Then she opened up a book of poems and handed it to me, written by an Italian poet from the 13th century. And every one of those words rang out, it poured like burning coal, pouring out of every page like it was written in my soul, from me to you. Tangled up in blue. So now I'm going back again, I got to get to her somehow. And all the people we used to know, they're an illusion to me now. Some are mathematicians, some are carpenters' wives. I don't know how it all got started, I don't know what they're doing with their lives. me, I'm still on the road. I'm headed for another joint. We always did agree, we just saw it from another point of view. Tangled up in blue. Whew. I got tangled up in the words a little bit. Oh, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. So, a couple more songs. There's just no way you can do them all. But here's a song I get requests for quite a bit. But before I go on, I'm going to make a little self-promotion here. Because... on my website, www.dannychicago.com, which is very hard to remember, you can check out a new book that I just published. I don't know if you can see that. It's called Lockdown, Photographs of Vienna at Night During Lockdown. Very spooky, very eerie kind of pictures of what Vienna was like during the first lockdown when I was walking around with a camera and getting chased around by police and security. But I got some nice pictures, and there's also text and kind of a narration of what was happening in Vienna each day and the mood of the city. So it's got some really nice photographs. You can get that at dandychicago.com, along with a book I wrote about, guess who? Bob Dylan. It's kind of a memoir of my experience with Dylan's influence and what it's like to be a Bob Dylan tribute performer. Lots of interesting stories and tidbits. And then, of course, my CD, which contains many, many songs about the lovely city of Vienna. For example, Boogie Down the Gürtel, Take Me to the Prater, They Got the Blues in Vienna, Riding Around the Ring, the Blue Danube Blues, Sitting on Maria Hilferstrasse, Why Won't the Austrians Dance, and the Wienerwald Wolf. Also, DannyChicago.com. And very soon, well, that's another story. Okay, we're going to do a couple more songs and then go out into the night. Here's a song that, somewhat controversial song. It was a song called Hurricane. It's about a boxer who was living in New Jersey, and there was a triple murder. The story is very convoluted, but the boxer's name was Reuben Carter, and he wrote a book about how he was framed and how the whole thing was a travesty of justice. And Bob Dylan read the book. He got very interested in it and wrote a song and kind of made it a cause of him to get Hurricane Carter out of prison. But it's kind of a narrative, kind of sounds almost like a story, maybe even something how you'd read it out of the newspaper. And it's called Hurricane. Pistol shots ring out in a barroom night. Enter Patty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees a bartender in a pool of blood. Cries out, my God, they've killed them all. Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. Meanwhile, far away in another part of town, Reuben Carter and a couple of friends are driving around. The #1 contender for the middleweight crown had no idea what kind of shit was about to go down when the cop pulled him over to the side of the road. Just like the time before and the time before that. In Patterson, that's just the way things go. If you're black, you might as well not show up on the street unless you want to draw the heat. Four in the morning and they hauled Reuben in. They took him to a hospital and they brought him upstairs. The wounded man looked up with his one dying eye and he said, "Why'd you bring him in here for? He ain't the guy." This is the story of the hurricane, the man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. Now all of Reuben's cards, they were marked in advance. The trial was a pig circus, he didn't stand a chance. The judge made all the witnesses drunkard from the slums, and to the white folks watching, he was a revolutionary bum. And to the black folks, he was a crazy nigger. No one doubted that he pulled the trigger, though they could not produce the gun. The DA said he was the one who did the deed, and the all-white jury agreed. Now all the criminals in their suits and their ties are free to drink martinis and watch the sunrise, while Reuben sits like Buddha in a 10-foot cell, an innocent man in a living hell. And that's the story of the hurricane, and it won't be over till they clear his name and give him back the time he's done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. Those of you that are real Dylan fans, you probably realized in this and I think a couple others, I cut out a few verses. Otherwise, we'd be here all night on one song, because I think that song has like 8 or 9 verses. I don't know. All right. I am just got a few more, like I keep saying. This is one called Serve Somebody. If you know about Dylan, you know he went through a Christian sort of period, so to speak, where a lot of his songs and even his albums were based around the teachings of Jesus Christ. And this is one of the songs that came out of it. There's been many versions of it. It's called Serve Somebody, but I think it kind of has a general theme that there is karma out there, so be careful where you throw stones. You might be ambassador to England or France. You might like to gamble, and you might like to dance. You might be the heavyweight champion of the world, You might be a socialite with a strong cream of curls, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. Yeah, you're gonna have to serve somebody. Well, it might be the devil, and it might be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. You might be a rock and roll star, prancing on a stage. You might be into drugs, women in a cage. You might be a businessman or some high-degree chief. Well, they might call you doctor, and they might call you chief, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. Yeah, you're gonna have to serve somebody. Well, it might be the devil, and it might be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. You might be a senator, you might be a congressman, you might be in the mafia with blood all over your hands. Or you might be the president of some rich Arabian king. But when they lay you in your grave, it doesn't mean a thing, 'cause you're gonna have to serve somebody. Yeah, you're gonna have to serve somebody. Well, it might be the devil, it might be the Lord, but you're gonna have to serve somebody. Gonna have to serve somebody. All right. I've got one more song and then pack it up, but I hope you enjoyed this little stream of celebrating music of Bob Dylan over the years. So much more to cover, but hopefully it gives you a little taste of what he might have sounded like. No, I'm not going to go into that. I love you, Bob. But it's time to pack it up. I'll get a lot of hate mail for that, I know. Anyway, I'm going to do one of a song called A Simple Twist of Fate, which requires a little bit of retuning. So I'm just going to tell Daniel that I'm turning my guitar down for a second. And it should just take a second. I might even be able to explain the song while I'm tuning. Probably not. All right. This is a song, I believe, from Blood on the Tracks called Simple Twist of Fate. It's got a kind of a simple story about a sailor who is he's on leave or whatever, and he hires a woman to do what you hire women to do in places like that. I should just shut up. But anyway, he meets her, they do their thing, but he has an emotional response to her that she has no idea, but he's completely in love on a deeper level, and this is a song about that sailor and about a simple twist of fate. This time I'll turn my guitar back up. Sat together in the park, alone in the dark. Watch out to the Liverpool Park where the sailors all come in. Oh man, I'm just totally screwing up the lyrics. I'm so sorry. I watched out for a simple twist of fate. They walked along by the old canal, real confused, I remember well. They stopped into a strange hotel with the neon burning bright. He felt the heat of the night hit him like a freight train, moving on a simple twist of fate. He woke up and the room was bare. He didn't see her anywhere. He told himself that he didn't care. Through the windows open wide, he felt an emptiness inside to which he could not relate, and watched out for a simple twist of fate. He hears the ticking of the clock, walks down by the docks, hears things come with knocks where the sailors all come in. Maybe she'll pick him out again, but how long must he wait? One more time for a simple twist of fate. People tell me it's a sin to feel and think too much within. I always thought she was my twin, but I lost the ring. She was born in spring, and I was born too late. Blame it on a simple twist of fate. Blame it on a simple twist of fate. Simple Twist of Fate, Bob Dylan. Thank you so much, Daniel, whose name I cannot pronounce, but he's done a great job. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this cool setup. Thank you for allowing me to perform my stuff out into the cyberverse. Thanks, everybody, for watching. DannyChicago.com if you want to check out the books and stuff and gigs that I'm doing and other projects. And yeah, so that's it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Schönen Wochenende. And one more time, thank you to Daniel for making this all possible. Adios.